Ladies and gentlemen, federal employees, welcome back to this episode of Haas Federal Advisors. My name is Dallin. It is great to spend some time with you today talking about Medicare and the fact that Medicare premiums for 2022 are going to see an increase bigger than we've ever seen before, unprecedented, of about 15%, right? So today we're going to talk about why that happened and for you as a federal employee, what you can do to be prepared. Because let's say you're 65 and older and you're on Medicare, or even if you're preparing to retire as a federal employee, Medicare most likely is going to be a part of your plan. And so you want to make sure that your finances are going to be prepared, because even if it's not Medicare, there's going to be increases in retirement that hit you that you have to be prepared for. And there's a few things that you certainly need to be doing now, and then of course once you retire, so that you are prepared. So again, let's start with Medicare. So for 2022, the base premium for Medicare Part B, okay, is going to be $170. Before, in 2021, it was about $148. So again, that's an increase of just about 15%. Now, what does that mean? Well, during Social Security, every year, Social Security has they call it a COLA, cost of living adjustment. And for 2021 to 2022, it's going to be about 5 to 6% increase for Social Security, right? Then why in the world is Medicare increasing by 15%? 15%, right? Why is that happening? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First, often healthcare expenses increase at a rate faster than general inflation, right? That definitely happens, right? Also, Congress actually kept Medicare premiums down in 2021 because of COVID. They wanted to give people relief, and now they have to catch back up, right? They have to catch back up, and they're also saying because of COVID, right, and potentially other factors, seniors are using the healthcare system more than ever. So long story short, the cost to run the Medicare program is going up, and so they have to increase their premiums accordingly. That is the bottom line. Now, if we compare this to the increase we saw for your federal health insurance, your FEHB, well, on average, from 2021 to 2022, the FEHB premiums are going to increase at 3.8%. So actually significantly less than what the increase we're going to see for Medicare. Now, and a big portion of this is probably going to come from the fact that Medicare in 2021 had a reduced increase because they were trying to keep it down because of COVID. Now, before you freak out and say, wow, all these retirees are going to really struggle because of this 15% increase, well, let me calm your fears at least a little bit. One thing that you have to remember is that Social Security also received a pretty big increase as well, about 5 to 6%. Now, that is not as big as 15%, but because Social Security benefits tend to be bigger than Medicare benefits, on average, the average retiree is going to receive a $70 increase to their Social Security benefits every month. Now, you compare that to the average increase to Medicare, it's about $20, right? So even with the really, really steep Medicare Part B increase, the average retiree is still going to have more extra, right, from their Social Security to cover the other added costs that they're going to have moving forward, because inflation is only going to be a bigger part of our life in the next few years, right? So if you're retired, thinking about retirement, this is something, and even if you're working, this is something you have to plan for. Now, there's a few things in retirement that you really have to understand to know how you are going to combat inflation, whether it's Medicare or housing, whatever it is. Prices are going to increase. It's going to happen over time, and especially here in the next few years, we are pretty darn certain that it's going to be higher than it has been in the last few decades, right? So there's a few things. First, like we talked about, Social Security is going to increase over time, which is a huge benefit. Your federal pension is going to increase over time. Now, it's going to be a slightly lower rate than Social Security, but it still will increase over time. That's huge. So those two things will certainly help you keep up with inflation over time. That'll be huge. Next, the other piece that is huge is you have to ensure that your TSP or your investments, whether it's in an IRA, 401k, whatever it is, your investments are going to be growing faster than inflation over time. That is why I get so worried when I am helping federal employees and I realize that they are investing all their money into the G fund or something so conservative that when inflation is higher than normal, which it probably will be here in the next few years, right? They're going to take a huge hit. While they're not technically losing money in the G fund, their earning power decreases because their money is not growing faster than inflation. So for you as a federal employee, you have to understand that, okay, once you stop working, what is your strategy to make sure, even if prices increase, do you have some margin, do you have some wiggle room in your retirement numbers so that even if inflation does get tough and maybe the market has some bad years, that you are still going to be okay? That is huge, having some margin. So when these sort of things happen, like Medicare increases or inflation or the stock market drops, right? Whatever it is, that you are going to be okay because you say, hey, no, I've got some wiggle room. I planned for this to happen. I know it's just a matter of time for the market to bottom out, right? For Medicare premiums to increase, for inflation to be higher than average. It's just a matter of time before that sort of thing happens. So I'm going to have some wiggle room in my plan. I'm not going to keep it so tight that I struggle. And now backtracking somewhat to Medicare Part B, you as federal employees actually have an advantage over the average American citizen, right? Because of course you do have access to Medicare Part B if you want it, right? But you also have your FEHB, your federal health insurance, assuming you're eligible for that when you retire, right? And the reason that is so powerful is because it's just another option where really, I'm not going to dig into this too deeply, but long story short, the two most common options for health insurance for you as a federal employee into retirement is number one, have a FEHB plan that works well with Medicare, and you have Medicare Part B. You have those both in tandem together, okay? Option number two, some people just get a really comprehensive FEHB plan and don't pick up Medicare Part B. Right? And so what this allows people to do is they have options in retirement. When the average American citizen, maybe they need Medicare because there's no better option. So whatever the price does, they are forced to stick to it because they have no other options. Now, I'm not saying jump out of Medicare now, only take FEHB. I'm not saying that, right? It still makes a lot of sense often to still be on Medicare Part B. All I'm saying is you have options. Moving forward, we don't know what the program's going to look like here in 10, 15, 20. We don't know. Things change. But for you as a federal employee, that's why having and being eligible to keep your health insurance into retirement can be so helpful. It gives you that one extra option and flexibility in retirement. And really, all the videos I produce and all the things I talk about, it's all about creating options and flexibility for you in retirement. That's what it's all about, right? When you're working, you have options, right? You have an income every 2 weeks, right? And you can make changes as you go because you know that you have some wiggle room in your plan. But when you're retired, often people paint themselves into a corner because they don't have options anymore. You want to build into your retirement options. So as things change, you can adjust. You can be flexible in how you live your life and the insurance you have and the investment. You want to be flexible. That is huge. So I hope that was helpful. And again, I think I'm releasing this on Thanksgiving. So if it is Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have an incredible day. Now, if you're finding value here in this content, whether it's on YouTube, on the podcast, on our website, looking through our blogs, I hope this is helpful. And if it is, consider subscribing, consider joining the community, consider sharing this because we are really making a push here at the end of 2021 to get this out to as many federal employees as we possibly can to help them retire confident and comfortable. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk soon.